everyone, and welcome to this week's Naked Truth. Trisha Hershberger here. And in case you didn't hear me say it on a Twitch stream or on something else, we bought a house. Nate and I bought a house, and it's super exciting. And I had the topic request from Jackson Fredericks on last week's episode, who said you and your husband should do a Naked Truth on buying a house for first timers. And while Nate wanted to be here for this episode, he is busy packing up stuff in our current apartment so that we can get it into our new house so that we can move there. So before we get into the nitty gritty of this week's topic, I want to thank our Naked Army vloggers from last week. That's Chris Kavaja, Nicholas, Michael, Julia, Christopher, Renegade Kush, Prescott and Kristen, Lawrence, Hiram, James, and Jenny. Their Naked Truths are linked in the description below if you want to check those out. Naked Truth for buying a house for the first time. So I kind of broke it down into the steps that we went through. Now, all of this is based on my experience, which means shopping in Southern California, which is very competitive and not the most affordable, to put it mildly. Not quite as bad as San Francisco, but, not the most affordable. But this was my experience, and if I had friends that were going through it right now, this is what I would tell them. So hopefully, if any of you are thinking about this in the near future, this will help you somehow. So the first thing that we did was try to figure out a budget, because neither Nate nor I had ever made a purchase on this scale before. So we had no idea what we can afford. Like, all of it just sounds like a lot of money. And when you go to get pre-approved for a mortgage loan, they tell you, oh, you can afford blah, blah, blah. And it's always like, from my understanding, from my friends that I've talked to, it's always way more than you should probably spend, what they're willing to approve you for. So realistically, how do you know how much you can spend? What we did is we took what we were paying monthly in rent right now for our place right now and thought, okay, we know we can afford that per month. How much above that are we willing to go, or below that are we willing, would we love to stay if we're thinking we're going to be making this payment for the next 30 years, which is crazy. But that's where we started. And then when you look at the different loans, if this is your first time buying, you can qualify for an FHA loan. And that's as little as 3.5% down, which again, for the crazy California home prices out here, we were looking at that. But we also found out that you can get a conventional mortgage for as little as 5% down or 10% down. So all of these are options. And we talked to a professional. And so we kind of thought, okay, if this is what we can afford per month, and this is how much down we can afford, looking at the different loans, what does that final number equal that we're comfortable with? And that also, we had to take into account, this is the amount of down that we have, but we should also have leftover money for emergencies in case something happens, moving costs, if we want to buy furniture or do any repairs to the house, like all of that needs to be factored in. So once we kind of came up with a number or a number range that we were comfortable sticking in, then we started the shopping process. And man, it is competitive out there. So we started looking at homes with a real estate agent, and our real estate agents were lovely, by the way, and they took us out pretty much every weekend to go look at homes in the areas we were interested in. And we finally found a house that we were like, yes, we are in love with this house. Let's put an offer in. And you know what? We like it so much, we're even going to offer $5,000 above asking. And we thought we were doing so well. And let me just tell you, this house had only been on the market a few days, and we were one of like 9 offers that the sellers got. And we weren't even considered like in the running. They didn't even come back to us with a counter offer. They were just like, thanks, we've chosen to go another direction. And so we learned a lot from that experience, because we were like, what did we do wrong? We went in above asking. They were looking at offers that were either all cash offers or like 70% down, and offers that were way above ours, even though we were above asking. And so we were really disheartened. And I said to my real estate agent, I was like, should we even be trying? Like, we're never going to be able to compete with those kind of offers. We're just not financially at that point. I mean, should we like take a break for 5 or 10 years and then try again if we're even at that point then? And she said, no, just be patient and stick with it. The right place will come. And so we saw a lot more houses. We put in a lot more offers. And finally, it was the right house at the right time for us, and it worked out. And so my advice to people that are in that situation would be just be patient. Don't settle. Don't put an offer in on something just because you're tired of looking and you think, oh, well, if this offer gets accepted, I'll go for it. Make sure it's what you really want and you're offering what you're able to pay. Now, some things that we learned about this is at least in our market, always go in above asking. Always. Make sure it's something you're comfortable paying in case the house does appraise for that. Because what we didn't know is there's always that discrepancy. We saw some houses that we loved that were asking this much and someone offered this much, but then because it didn't appraise quite for that high or it needed repairs, they only ended up paying that original price or sometimes even less than that. And so it's all this game that the more you've been around it, the more you understand it. And it was crazy for us to witness and to find out kind of how to be competitive in that market. And luckily, we didn't have to be too cutthroat and competitive because the right house came at the right time for us. But it was crazy. And then once your offer does get accepted, that is not the end of the journey. Oh no, then you're in escrow. Oh God. And how to survive escrow, which is the time period between when your offer is accepted and you actually own the home. That is your chance to kind of find the poop. If you've ever watched How I Met Your Mother, where's the poop? This is your time to find the poop. We were actually in escrow twice before the house that we bought on 2 separate properties. And the first house, we found out that the selling agent was very misleading about how much property was actually for sale. And we found out we were only buying about half the property size that we thought we were buying, only because we were really good about reading all the paperwork. So make sure that you read all the escrow documents, and there are hundreds of pages, and it's tedious and it's time consuming, but it's so worth it because we could have been tricked into buying something that, we didn't think we were buying. And then the second time we were in escrow, we did the home inspection, which is where you have a third-party inspector come to the house to make sure that everything's okay with it. And the inspector found so much wrong with the house. Again, it was cosmetically all redone, but then inside the walls, everything that was redone about this house was done wrong. And it would have cost us a lot of money in repairs, and who knows over how long of time to get that house back to what we were originally, told that it was. So when you're in escrow, do inspections. Yes, they cost like $500. They cost a little bit of money. That's a lot of bit of money. But when you're talking about buying a home and, being tricked potentially into buying the biggest purchase of your life, in my opinion, it's totally worth it. Find the poop if there's poop. And if you're lucky, there's no poop and everything with escrow goes smoothly and you end up getting a home. But it's been a wild adventure. It's certainly not anything like what Nate and I thought it would be. We thought we were going to go fall in love with the house, put an offer on it and be like, our new home. And it was so much more complicated than that. And it really was an adventure. But now when we move into the house, which will be in a couple weeks, so I think there will be one more naked truth that you see with my lovely dragon on the wall, and that will be it. And then after that, it will be in a brand new studio with a brand new look that I don't even know what it's going to be yet, but it's exciting. And this is the house that we hope to grow old in. And some people look for their first home as a starter home, and that's awesome too. But this is our forever home. That's what we're hoping for it to be anyway. So that was our journey. That was my journey. And I'm really excited to show you guys the new place when we finally get into it. And there may be moving boxes as my background for a few weeks before we figure it out. But it's really exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. My question to you guys this week is, what is the most difficult purchase that you've ever made? Whether that be a house or anything else, whatever it could be. I'm trying to think what my first big purchase was on my own was when I first built my computer right after college, and all the money that I spent on that. And I was like, well, I can't believe I spent all this money. So whatever it may be, what was the most difficult purchase you ever made? And tell us about that experience in your own Naked Truth vlog or in the comments down below. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you next week for the last Naked Truth in this place. But exciting. All right, bye, guys.